G'day everybody, WheresWally here. Well, this is my response to Mitchell's response to my response to debunking him in the first place. I think that's right. Anyway, this is going to be a long one, so let's not waste any time.
Well, I've just realised your hopes and dreams, Wally. I hope it lived up to all of the standards, everything that you thought it would be.
Hi Mitchell. Yes, your video attempting to debunk me limboed to the level that I totally expected from you. Well, let's get into this surgical dissection. This is going to take some time, but stick around for the end. It's really good.
What does a Wally even mean? It's an insult became popular in the 80s, meaning an idiot.
Oh, so you've gone the Wally, hey? Well, I guess every debunker has to do that. So get it out of your system now, mate. Now look, as I've said before, I know where I am. I'm actually pointing to the Wallies. So, you know, galahs that carry on like turkeys about black swans that turn out to be dead ducks. I'm looking at you, Mitch. Well, Mitchell, you missed so many points. They were going over your head so fast you could have been standing on the runway at LAX or Heathrow.
I'm going to refer him to as Bloody Wally.
Yeah, you sure will be cursing my name, Mitch. By the time I'm done with my chew toys, Mitch, there's usually not much left. Just ask Level Earth Observer. He doesn't know how to handle me.
I don't even know what to do.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, elevation profiles showing a flat Earth beneath our feet. All you're going to see is the elevation profiles. Never, ever will you see a map with curvature taken into account. 8 inches per mile square. Every single map that we have is a flat Earth map. So, Wally, this is proof that we have flat Earth maps. Yeah, stop saying, Globers, that we do not have any flat Earth maps. I think it's the Globers that need to produce the maps.
Well, here's a map that's perfect for navigation, and it certainly has curvature. Try this, Mitchell. Go to 00 latitude, longitude. Now start measuring with the measuring tool, and it shows the shortest distance between the two ends, correct? Now go along the equator. Now go to the antipodal point at 180. Now look where the shortest line goes. Does it go along the equator? Oh no, it doesn't. It goes over the pole. That's because the polar R value is slightly shorter than the equatorial R value. Oh, fancy that. Looks like Google Earth Map has curvature. Ouch, how does that feel? I guess you're going to need some R-soothing cream for that. Now look, I showed you mine. How about you show me yours, Mitch? Where's your map?
Is that we do not have any flat Earth maps.
And it comes out as 91 kilometres per degree. That's 20 kilometres less. How are you going to explain that, Mitchell?
Please explain.
Let's look what happens at the Earth-Sway runway paradox. At that latitude of minus 54.8, the east-west ratio is almost half of the north-south ratio. Now here's a clue, Mitch. Cos of 60 is 0.5. Now watch as Mitch totally avoids thinking about the globe proof I just handed him. He thinks he has a sound grab to play, and he gets all excited. But Mitch, I know you're going to want to explain this globe proof away, but you're going to need half of that. In fact, when you plot all the...
What was that, Wally? You're gonna need half of that. I saw a comment the other day saying, under no circumstances give any flat earthers any sound bites. You're gonna understand why after this, Wally.
Oh, sound bites, eh? Well, you might want to be careful with that game, Mitchell. It's kind of my thing. Well, just ask Level Earth Observer. I mean, he gave up debunking me, and he took up meditation.
It's fair to say I was pissed off. I'm very much at peace with it now.
The prime meridian. The prime meridian is an arbitrary, yeah? Meaning it could be chosen to be anywhere. So it has been done before. The prime meridian has been changed many times, many times of your latitudes and longitudes. Yeah, the thing that you say, don't even say it's arbitrary. They have meaning. What is the meaning? Longitude is the measurement east-west of the prime meridian. Longitude is measured by imaginary lines. If that's not an arbitrary thing, I don't know what is, boy. Yeah, it is just points on your map.
Points on a map, yes, but you missed why they exist and how they're determined. Yes, the 0 degree line is arbitrary, but after that, All the rest are measured, so 180 east, 180 west, 360 degrees in all, a full circle, hey Mitch. Now they're all based off the time the sun is overhead at each line. So now that you know they have meaning, please explain how the distance between them gets shorter as you move away from the poles. The distance and the degrees are both measurable too, Mitch. And I know you want to avoid thinking about that, don't you?
You get it, Wally. Yeah, you can't start with a physical measurement and then divide that by arbitrary points on a globe.
But Mitch, the degrees of longitude and latitude are also physical measurements. That is why this is a globe proof. These measurements do not match the flat map. You're going to need our soothing cream for that.
You get it, Wally. And even longitude is an even more imaginary line because it was made up. Don't I dare say that it is arbitrary, Wally?
They are not arbitrary. The equator is the line of GP of the sun on the day of the equinox, yes? It has meaning. The prime meridian may be just selected, but all the others are measured from it, so now they all have meaning. So much hand-waving, Mick.
It's ridiculous that the lengths that we flat earthers go to try and prove our point 3 unicorns. At that point, it's worth 10 unicorns. So the difference between it's going to be 7 unicorns. How do you explain that on a flat earth? Yeah, that's the level of argument that you are using. Obviously, yeah, we can use it for GPS, but what is GPS, Wally?
Global Positioning System, Mitch. I think that's what you'll find it is.
Thanks for confirming that, Wally. Does GPS take into account any consideration of a globe?
Well, hell yeah. It's right there in the name, Mitch. You know how you like to bang on about circles of possible positions when using sextants? Well, GPS is very similar, except in 3D. Now, as one satellite gives you a sphere of possible positions, 2 satellites in view, and the intersection of 2 spheres gives you a circle of possible positions. 3 satellites, and you now have 2 possible positions. 4 satellites, and you have a 3D fix. The very fact that we all know you need at least 4 satellites in view to get a 3D fix means they are all in a spherical shell of orbits around the planet. You really don't have a clue how GPS actually works, do you, Mitch?
Thanks for confirming that, Wally.
And one more thing, Mitch, and you're going to regret mentioning GPS, I'm assuring you of that.
Bloody Wally.
Where on a plane do you think the antennas for the GPS and the ADS-B systems are located? If you said on top, you would be correct. And on top, because that's facing towards space, where the satellites are.
You get it, Wally.
Oh, but you think that just because a few loons exist, that all satellites are loons. Well, GPS kind of kills that fantasy dead. The reason that you get meter accuracy from a GPS in your hand, and we do have that, the GPS satellite that is transmitting the signals has to also know its position to the same level of accuracy, which it does. Now, if you think that a balloon blowing on the wind is going to give you meter accuracy, Mitch, then you're wrong. Do you understand yet?
I don't understand yet, Wally.
Latitude and longitude comes from a conversion from that box-style system. That's the native coordinates coming out of a GPS system. So here's the thing I want.
That is Jesse Kozlowski detailing what GPS is. Yeah? Not latitude and longitude, Cartesian coordinates. So when you say GPS is used for navigation, it is nothing to do with the globe. Yeah, Cartesian coordinates, a box system, like a cube, X, Y, Z values, as Jesse Kozlowski has just detailed. Nothing to do with a globe. Everything to do with flat, level lines, straight lines here, put into a 3D.
Cartesian or spherical, it's all the same. It's all 3D. Mitch, try telling the police who pulled you over for doing 100k an hour in a 60 zone that you weren't because your speedo is actually in miles per hour, not kilometres an hour. Let's see how far that gets you, Mitch. Talk about clutching at straws, Mitchell.
It's ridiculous that the lengths that we flat earthers go to try and prove our point. All right, let's go to the next claim. So what has he claimed in this next part of the video? It is quite extraordinary, and I went through it yesterday. All about the equinox. And before we get to that, he's shown this picture here. What happened to the tilt of the Earth, Wally?
Where's the tilt? Seriously, Mitch? It's right there in front of you. Oh, I guess because the tilt is towards the viewer, you got confused. Notice that you can see the North Pole, but you can't see the South Pole? Why is that, Mitchell? Could it be that the Earth is tilted towards the viewer at the top? And at 90 degrees to the Sun? You just don't understand why there is an equinox in the first place.
It's ridiculous that the lengths that we let Earthers go to try and prove our point.
Also, Mitch, can you see that the axis of the Earth's rotation is at 90 degrees to the Sun's rays? You can see that the day-night terminator is passing straight through both poles. Now that's what it's supposed to do on the day of the equinox.
I don't understand yet, Wally. Do you need? Why am I picking up globe believers on their own rhetoric? Why do globe believers not even know their own model? This is what something that you should have been showing, Wally. What am I correcting you right there? See the tilt of the Earth? Yeah?
Oh, stop, Mitchell. You're embarrassing yourself. No, you're not correcting me. I'm schooling you, Mitch. Now pay attention. The image I showed the viewer is looking at the solar system from 90 degrees rotated to this view here. From over here, Mitchell. What would you see if you're over there looking?
Thanks, Wally, for confirming your understanding.
Now, if you pick any line of longitude, the sun will rise at the same time anywhere along that line on the day of the equinox. We all know this. Now,
What? Let's just hear that claim again, because
Now, I'm going to skip forward a bit here because all Mitch does next is the old find places where the time is a minute different and then goes, see, it's not exactly the same. A little bit of semantic pedantics.
6:43. Now, obviously, there might be some daylight savings time, so it's probably 5:43. But they all do not line up as the same time, Wally. You bloody Wally.
Well, within a minute or so, they are the same. Come on, Mitch, be honest about this.
It's ridiculous that the lengths that we let Earthers go to try and prove our point.
But the distances would be all different, just as we saw. The drones at the equator would fly the furthest distance, and the further the drones are from the equator, in either direction, north or south, the shorter the distance they need to fly to move 15 degrees west. Look, I made a mistake using drones here because Mitchell just totally missed the point yet again. He got all excited and talked about drones. So Mitchell takes about 4 minutes to say absolutely nothing relevant. I wasn't talking about drones or frames of reference, Mitchell. You went off on a totally irrelevant tangent.
It's ridiculous that the lengths that we let Earthers go to try and prove our point.
How about you address the 15 degrees west and the changing distance that is measured between them? You can't address that without admitting you need R. Your R's issue really needs to be addressed, Mitchell.
This is what came next that you did not show, Wally. Yeah? What did I use to debunk orbits? Satellite dishes? Yeah? The balloons, mate.
So now Mitchell will go on yet another diversion, talking about loons. Now what you have missed, Mitch, apart from the logic fail of assuming that all satellites are loons, is that loons are shutting down. Aren't you glad that I'm here to teach you these things, Mitch?
Thanks, Wally. You guys are awesome. What? Orbits absolutely beg the question, Nathan. They have never been proven. They can never be proven. They will never be proven. An orbit is an imaginary concept. Nothing ever orbits anything.
Wow, Mitch. You see Nathan is watching and you go full derp. Well, we see orbits all the time, so now you're just making up stuff to placate the boss.
It's ridiculous that the lengths that we let Earthers go to try and prove our point. I don't quote people, I get them to quote themselves. What are you going to need if you have a globe claim, if you have orbits? What's the first thing you're going to need, Wally?
You're going to need R for that.
Yeah, you're going to need R for that, as you...
You made a modus tollens-like things right there, didn't you? You said if orbits are a thing, then you're going to need R. But orbits are a thing, therefore R is a thing.
You get it, Wally. Wally. Let's continue.
The shadow. Well, here's globe sign number 3. As this only happens around the time of the equinox, when the shadow is straight above the equator at midnight. At other times, the shadow is either too far north or too far south, and it misses them. Now, watch again carefully as the geosynchronous satellite that is moving in from the north to the south, as it touches the edge of the shadow briefly. it blinks out for only a few frames. Well, let me show you what the shape of the shadow is likely to be at that point. Wow, that is very penumbral, isn't it? So here I've shown you, Mitch, not only satellites in orbit, but satellites being eclipsed while in orbit. And once again, Mitchell says...
And showing that if you're claiming something like a shadow being a physical shadow from something like a globe, what are we going to need?
You're going to need half of that.
Yeah, we're going to need half of that, aren't we, Wally?
Now, the Earth's shadow is a thing, then R is a thing. But the shadow is an observable thing, therefore R is an observable thing too.
I don't understand yet, Wally.
You know, Mitch, just playing Flurf Daddy quotes isn't a debunk. See, when I debunk your claims of orbit had never been observed, I showed you satellites in orbit. Now, even if that was a loon, which it isn't, but even if it was, you still have to explain why it's being eclipsed, and you failed miserably on that. Are your R's hurting, Mitch? Then you're gonna need some R cream for that. Easiest? Really? I think you mean laziest. You've not done anything to debunk but play a soundbite. Oh, and when you get to the end of my point with your various claims, I'm going to pull the rug right out from underneath your...
You're going to need half of that.
As well.
Bloody Wally from Australia.
Are you understanding that there is a huge circular shaped shadow in the midnight sky? What are you thinking could be the blocking object creating this?
Let's ask Adam Meakin.
Yeah, you're going to need half of that.
Yep, you're going to need half of that. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate, mate.
So, in no way did you address the observable fact that there is a shadow and it has a shape, and that shape is circular. If there is a shadow, you must have R. There is a shadow, therefore we must have an R. Modus tollens yourself on that one, Mitch.
Thanks for confirming that, Wally.
The fact that you avoided this shows that you have no idea how to debunk it. Just playing sound clips isn't the proof. You need to explain what the blocking object is.
It's ridiculous that the lengths that we flat earthers go to try and prove our point.
So it seems we can also measure and prove the R of the orbit of the Earth around the Sun.
So now we've gone to an R value for orbits around the Sun. Why don't we first prove the R value for the Earth that you think you're on? Sleeping Warrior?
So yet again, Mitchell reaches for the soundboard instead of addressing the R of the orbit of the Earth around the Sun. The fact that a one-day shift in the background stars is detectable proves that the Earth is moving in a circle around the Sun. So isn't evidence of a heliocentric system also another nail in the coffin of flat Earth? You skipped by that one real fast, Mitch.
You get it, Wally. So time as the independent variable and time as the independent variable. He can't even get his own hypothesis right. Number one. Yeah? So I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that you meant time as the dependent variable and time as the independent variable.
So gracious of you, Mitch. But you can't really do anything else because I actually corrected myself in post. Oh yeah, I realised I misspoke during recording. My bad, but that's nothing compared to your fail. So I'm going to ask you to get all the way off my back on that one.
Thanks, Wally, for confirming your understanding. This is just such a cluster screw. Man, like, why do I even need to go into this? Why do you think you're having any science in here when you have the independent variable, the same, the cause, that's what needs to be the cause, as the same as the dependent variable, the effect? So time causes time. Is that what you're saying, Wally?
No, Mitchell, you've been drinking from the font of Sleeping Warrior again, haven't you? No, what the graph is showing are measurements that have time as units. It's as simple as that. Now, time is perfectly allowable as an independent variable because we are watching something change. It also happens that what I'm measuring, the time that the satellite spends in the Earth's shadow, is also time-based. Mitch goes on to say that time is a made-up concept. Well, so is the markings on a ruler, Mitch, and you're perfectly okay with that. Now, you know, I thought Anthony's brain would explode. I didn't realise it was going to be yours. So why are you wasting so much time making a fool of yourself over time as an independent or dependent variable?
It's ridiculous that the lengths that we flat earthers go to try and prove our point. the independent variable, the thing that you're manipulating, has to be a thing. It has to exist. It has to be able to be manipulated.
No, it has to change, Mitchell. Whether you cause it to change or you just watch it as it happens to change by itself. Science doesn't care about that.
Thanks, Wally, for confirming your understanding. It has to be natural and it has to be observed.
Yep, now you got it. It has to be observed while it changes. The cause of the change matters not. Do you understand that, Mitch? It's the change, not the cause, that's important.
You get it, Wally.
I'm showing you R, the shadow is a circle, so the blocking object must also be a circle. Ignoring this fact by playing sound bites won't save you, Mitch. Your R's hurting, Mitch? Then you're going to need R cream for that.
You get it, Wally. Thanks for confirming that, Wally. Oh, man. It's hilarious that they're giving us these sound bites. You're going to need R for that. Because they know what our response is going to be. Any globe proof needs the R value. It is simple as that.
Yes, when we show you R proofs and you ignore them, that doesn't make them go away, Mitch.
It's ridiculous that the lengths that we flat earthers go to try and prove our point. Yeah, I think I need to pause it right here. Yeah, this is probably my favorite one. You've got an observer here measuring an angle. He understands that you need a flat baseline to measure angles, but where is your flat baseline going, Wally? 90 degrees to your globe Earth should be out here somewhere, but you know you can't get 90 degrees on a spherical surface. So what's he done? He's put, so this line here is meant to be the height of the satellite. Where's it ending? In a couple of 100 miles beneath the surface of your globe Earth?
I see triangles are not your strong point either, Mitchell. This technique means you draw a line from the vertex perpendicular to the opposite side, and then you solve the two new right triangles you just created. Now, I could have solved using these two, or these two. Do you understand that, Mitch?
I don't understand yet, Wally. Earth. Yeah, this is a massive, massive problem for you globers, isn't it? You can't even... you can't even put that 90-degree value, yeah, the geographical position of the satellite onto a globe. Yeah, this is meant to be a distance value. It's meant to end here.
Mitchell, it does. It's not my fault that you can't read a diagram. Maybe if you watched again real slowly, you will realise that the side is H plus C, and that C is 963 kilometres, and I gave you that value. Mitchell didn't realise it because he was so busy with his sound bites. Now what is actually fun is that Nathan was watching. Nathan didn't see Mitchell's error either because, well, Nathan's thick. Arwen didn't see it either. Well, if he did, he wasn't going to pipe up and correct anyone. Because, remember, Flat Earth and peer review, not the best friends.
It's ridiculous that the lengths that we flat earthers go to try and prove our point. Yeah? They still think that they can measure an angle on a curved surface. You're going to need R for that, and you're going to need a 90-degree angle for that. That's why the sextant works, because we're on a flat plane. Why do you need to put this little curve in here?
Angle to the satellite. I didn't measure the angle to the satellite from the curved surface, Mitchell, though using a tangent to a curve is mathematically valid. I didn't do that, however. I also could have measured the angle from a plumb line that is perpendicular to the surface, but I didn't do that either. So how did I get the angle? That went right over your head too, didn't it, Mitchell? I used 5.05 degrees. Now, where did I get that from? From the stars. I even told you that right at the start. Your R's hurt, Mitch? You're going to need some R cream for that. I was also measuring the height above the surface, not from where I projected the perpendicular line from the equator. You missed that, and I stated the value for C as 963 kilometres, and I subtracted that from the side of the triangle to give me H. That went right over your head.
Thanks, Wally, for confirming your understanding.
So I went and redid the whole thing with just one triangle, as two triangles totally confused flat earthers. Your R hurt much? You're going to need R cream for that.
That line here, yeah, you know it's going to be 90 degrees. Why do you put it, the overlay of the curve?
That curve is shown because it's reality, Mitch. A huge R curve.
You called, Wall?
No, not now, Hugh.
Oh!
Why is that 90-degree angle in the middle of this bloody curve here? It needs to be here, and you know that you can't put it there.
No, Mitch, it does not need to be there. In fact, I don't even need a 90 degree. I know 2 angles and 1 side, so triangle calculator it is. And look, it works out. Same error, same distance.
Bloody Wally from Australia. All right, so obviously, Wally, you haven't heard about the #1 flat Earth proof, yeah? The sextant, the thing that you use for celestial navigation for hundreds of years that you absolutely need a flat baseline for. All right, so obviously, Wally, you haven't heard about the #1 flat Earth proof, yeah? The sextant, the thing that you use for celestial navigation for hundreds of years that you absolutely need a flat baseline for.
A sextant? Ah, meh.
Daddy, where's your sextant?
I left it in Perth, darling.
That's okay, Daddy. It's only our toy.
I know it's only a toy. Which is your favourite telescope? That one? Is that your one?
Yes.
Wow. Say hello to WheresWally.
Hello.
Wolfie's telescope is a sextant on steroids. It is measuring angles to way greater accuracy than a sextant ever could. Just check out Wolfie's scope here. The controller is driving the scope to within 1/100th of an arc second. That is orders of magnitude better than a sextant.
Thanks, Wally. You guys are awesome. What?
But Mitchell, did you know that I could take multiple measurements of this given satellite from multiple locations and work backwards and calculate R? I bet you didn't realise you could do that. So that is how easy it would be to do. And the only assumption that would be required would be that the height of the satellite is remaining constant. And
That's not the only assumption you're going to need, Wally.
no, mate, that is the only assumption. And guess what? If you do 2 observations at the same time, then that assumption goes away too. Because you're looking at the same satellite at the same time, Mitch. I thought I'd better spell that out for you. And that is what I did. Wolfie and a scope for hire in Dubbo both did the same observation on the 24th UTC at the same time. The 2 scopes were about 282 kilometres apart, but you're going to have to wait to the end and I will show you how well that turned out.
I don't understand yet, Wally. And so, Wally, what are the other things that we need to assume when measuring angles? Yeah, what is an angle? In Euclidean geometry, so in geometry, an angle can be defined as angles are measured in degrees. And what is a right angle? In geometry and trigonometry, you need to have straight lines for your right angles. There is no 2 ways about it.
Okay, Mitch, thanks for the 101 geometry lesson, but like all flatties, they have a dirty little secret. Mitch here is cherry picking. He's not showing the whole story. How many times have you been told the word tangent, Mitch? And why did you not show the wiki page for that? Oh, look, a tangent to a sphere. Ooh, ouch, Mitch.
It's ridiculous that the lengths that we flat earthers go to try and prove our point. This is how we have proven our flat earth, Wally. Please go to my video titled The #1 Flat Earth Proof on my channel. It's got about 10,000 views at the moment, Wally, and do a debunk of that.
Oh, already done that. QE was owned 12 months ago, and he has a dirty little secret too.
Right? The argument is solely the horizon behind the second platform, which everyone can see. I don't care if there's a Chinese Superman on a hobbled refracted unicorn wearing a tutu on these platforms. Don't care. That's not the argument.
It's called refraction, and QE tries so hard to make sure it's out of play.
Yeah, they'd like to get their dirty little secret out, just to hand wave what we're going to say.
But we see him, we see what he's doing. So Mitch, if you've not blocked me all that long time ago, you might have seen this, and then you would have realised you had R all along.
Thanks, Wally. You guys are awesome. What?
So enough of pointing out the many fails of Mitchell. Tell me, who is sick to the back teeth of?
Yeah, you're going to need R for that, Wally.
Well, I made a claim last time that you could take 2 observations and back calculate R. Mitchell, he hand waved that away. Well, on the 24th of September 2021, I hired a telescope in Dubbo and replicated the eclipsing geostationary satellites of Flat Earth Doom, and he used the massive 17-inch telescope. And of course, Wolfie, he was also capturing them simultaneously in Sydney. And as luck would have it, the azimuth of the 2 scopes were 303 degrees, roughly. And Sydney to Dubbo is also 303 degrees. This made this suddenly a 2D problem. How lucky for flat earthers is that? So now I have just two sets of measurements here, the declinations and the elevations. Now the elevations are both from horizontal, and vertical is just 90 degrees from that at both locations. All I need is the difference in both to measure the angle of those two radii from the centre of the Earth and how much they are diverging. And we know the distance between the two scopes was 281.91 kilometres. Oh, I also noticed that Wolfie had the group of satellites 0.257 of a degree from the centre of the frame. That makes a difference. Luckily I noticed it, so I could correct for it. Now the angle that the two R's are diverging is the elevation difference of 2.4149 degrees. Then you add to that the 2.57 degrees of frame correction, and then you subtract the declination difference of 0.18664, gives you an angle of 2.4853 degrees. That's the difference between the two radii. As we know, these two radii are near enough the same length, so here we have an isosceles triangle, so that makes the other two angles 88.7474 degrees each. Now bung that into a triangle calculator, do a bit of maths using the law of sines, thanks Blue Marble Science for that, and you get 6499.7 kilometres. And the accepted value of R is 6371, so that's just a 2% error. I like that.
Thanks for confirming that, Wally.
And because I'm a scientist, I will show you I'm correct by validating my data independently through Walter Bislin's amazing satellite distance from angle measurement for globe and flat earth calculator. The guy's amazing. The link is in the description as always. And when you bung in the telescope pointing data for the two telescopes and the satellite data, the error is 0. Well, on the globe anyway. But on the flat earth model, the error is very big. So when measured data doesn't match the model is a bit of a fail. Do you understand that, Mitch?
Thanks, Wally. You guys are awesome. What?
So Mitchell, we have R measured and proven, and the value of R at 6371 kilometres seems totally acceptable now. Now if any flat earther says you're going to need R for that, tell them Wolfie's mate Wally has got R for that. So now Mitchell, all those globe proofs that you have just skipped over and hand waved away, you absolutely must revisit them now. You have to explain why 69 miles per degree only works in the north-south direction. Why can you only see 69 miles per degree in the east-west direction at the equator? The O'Swaya paradox, Mitch, proves the globe. You now have to explain what we are seeing in orbit, because we've got R for that. You have to explain what object is sitting stationary at 36,000 kilometres altitude, because we've got R for that. You have to explain what is causing the circular shadow. What is the blocking object? Because we've got R for that. The R of the orbit of the Earth around the Sun, because we've got R for that. And for bonus, the ISS is in orbit around the Earth, so please explain, because we've got R for that. Now I have shown you more R's than the southern end of a northbound herd of elephants. I absolutely want your attention now, Mitch. Hold a school session in the shade this time so you can look and watch and learn without looking like a flasher in the park. Get Nathan, get Arwen, get QE, get them all in there to hold your hand, because you only got 3 options here. You're going to try to cry, or lie, or deny. Save yourself the time and apologise to Globe Earth for wasting our time. Flat Earth is dead, because we've got R for that.